to do it now. Oh, do I have to let people in? How does this work?
Yes, I can share.
Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
you're back.
great. Sorry. Sorry everyone that's on the call. This was set up without a waiting room, and so that was an error. We'll switch that for next time, but we're going to give it a couple more minutes for folks to join on. So just if you could keep yourselves on mute, that would be great, and we'll let you know when we're going to get started. For us in order to take attendance and know that everyone who registered made it in. So if you could do that, that would be great. And if you need help sort of figuring that out, I'm happy to help you get through that as well. I am going to give it about 2 more minutes. I know we have a bunch of people registered that I'm not seeing yet, so everybody hang tight. All right, I know we have a lot to cover, and that I also know our awesome presenters like to leave space for questions at the end if folks have them. And I know whenever I am part of these, I have questions and I have done them more than once. So I do want to get us started. Please, I know sometimes we assume that everyone has been on Zoom for the last 2 years, but sometimes people have not been on Zoom for the last 2 years, which is good for you if you haven't. We do all kind of get exhausted from sort of Zoom etiquette and behavior, but we would love for you to have your cameras on. I think it makes it more engaging, and it allows our presenters, who are really wonderful, to know that you're here and interested and engaging. So we would love for you to turn cameras on if you can, and if you're interested in that. But it would be best if you stay muted until, you know, it gets open for questions, or the presenters sort of can call on you, something like that. But just want to thank you all for signing up and registering for these events. My name is Amy Peltier. I'm the director of East Hartford Works. East Hartford Works, formerly known as East Hartford Connects. We are a department within the town of East Hartford, and we focus on workforce and economic development. And for us, that means providing, and I will try and mute people, I think, when I can, but actually, Laura, you are now co-host and you can do that as well. But primarily, we focus on workforce development for both young people with a very robust summer youth employment program for kids 18 to 24, and then with adults where we offer one-to-one career coaching, but we also do very specific connections with different training opportunities connected to in-demand sector jobs and quality jobs. And we also help folks with resume reviews, practicing for interviews, refining a job search, sort of the whole gamut, and connecting you with other services that might help you get over certain barriers to employment. Yadira Jetter, who you may have all been communicating with through email, she's not able to be here this evening, but she is our career coach and is connected with lots of amazing resources in East Hartford. Please reach out to her individually if you are interested in accessing any of our employment and workforce development supports. But I will also say that financial literacy is part of the workforce work that we do. We want people to earn money and make more money, but also know how to keep your money or invest your money or spend your money wisely, as well as take care of some of those money burdens that we all carry around, whether it's for maybe that pair of shoes we shouldn't have bought, or that college degree or certificate that may or may not be useful. These are all things that add to our economic well-being and mobility, which is really an important part of what we do at East Hartford Works too. So this is actually our third time, I believe, running this workshop series. We have incredible partnerships with Pam Days-Lukatich at Liberty Bank and Laura O'Keefe at The Village. These ladies are amazing. They are wonderful presenters. We're going to have 3 weeks of presentations. This first week around understanding credit. Next week will be about budgeting and debt management. And the third week will be around tax preparation and employment forms. I'll let them say this, but I do know that this works best when people ask questions, or if you're engaged and you really need to know something, please use the chat feature, which is also at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You can hit the little chat button there, and a side panel will pop up, and you can chat with them or raise your hand for questions at the end. I will be taking attendance at the beginning and end of these sessions. We like to encourage people to participate in all three of them. So if you are here from start to finish for all three of these virtual workshops, you will earn yourself a $75 grocery gift card, which is a nice little incentive and will come right around Thanksgiving time. If you celebrate that, maybe you can get a turkey and some fixings with that. And then the last thing I'll say is that we're offering a fourth optional workshop that is a live in-person workshop. It will be at the East Hartford Public Library on November 9th from 6 to 7 p.m. And we will be talking about first-time home buyers, and we will have CHFA, Laura and Pam will also be there. We'll have a realtor there, and you'll hear about lending, real estate opportunities, and all of sort of the bits and pieces you need to get in place if you're considering becoming a first-time home buyer. So without taking up any more time, I'm going to hand this over to Pam and Laura, and thank you both so much. This is going to be awesome. I'm excited to hear about what you have to teach us about this time. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome. Laura and I are excited to partner with East Hartford, one of our favorites, even though we're not supposed to have favorites. I'm going to share my screen. And let's see. Okay. So Laura and I didn't get a chance to practice like we had thought we were. We've done this many times, but So we're both just going to kind of jump in and out, and we both love to hear all of your questions. And as we're going through, if you want to jump in with anything, please do so. You can put things in the chat and we'll try to make sure we catch those. Or if you want to come off mute and ask a question or save it to the end. But sometimes if you wait to the end, you might forget. So we're happy to help you with anything that you have. I am at Liberty Bank, and I have been working in community development for a lot of years. And so doing these type of programs is something that I'm really familiar with. And tonight, credit is probably one of the ones that people ask us at the bank for the most. It seems like everybody is really interested in their credit. And I know Amy had mentioned a home buying class coming up. So, you know, this is one of the steps that you would need for your home buying, but really credit goes a lot deeper for a lot of other areas and aspects of your life, as we're going to talk about. Laura, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. And I put in the chat, Pam, if you want me to monitor the chat while you're doing some of the slides, I would be more than happy to do that. So hi, everyone. Welcome in. I'm Laura O'Keefe. I'm the director of the Financial Opportunity Center here at the Village for Families and Children. And I think sort of where, you know, we fit into the equation, obviously, is you know, we're certainly partnered with Pam and with Amy, and we're all about financial empowerment and really helping you get the tools and the tips and the tricks that you need in order to get ahead financially at the end of the day, right? So we actually at the Village have one-on-one. We are a financial opportunity center here. So we're able to meet with you one-on-one to really develop the plan that is going to work for you. So when you learn all this great stuff from Pam and you know, the things that we're going to teach you about taxes in a couple weeks and budgeting next week with Pam and all that great stuff, you know, what do you do next, right? And so it's really about, you know, finding yourself someone that you can talk to, getting in that room with the person, you know, and nailing down your particular goals, aspirations, and the plan that we're going to put together to help you get there. So the Village does everything from the benefit screening and access to income support. We do tax preparation here during tax season that's free of charge. We also do career supports, and we do, you know, the financial supports. So any one of those categories, we can sit down with you and have a coach sit with you knee to knee to basically talk it out and help you figure out a plan. So that's us.
Well, when you talk about credit, so Laura said that one of our goals is to empower you, and really to get the most power that you can, you really have to know what all of the things that you about yourself, right? And so we want you to learn a lot about credit. And next week, when we talk about budgeting, we're going to have you learn about all your spending habits and everything, because the more you know about yourself and what tendencies you happen to have, the more successful you're going to be. So credit is really important, and it's important for you to start thinking now how you use credit currently. You know, what are you doing with credit? Do you have credit? Do you need credit? Does your credit need some repair? Do you just want to learn more about credit? And all of those things we're going to touch on tonight. So first of all, basically, what is credit, right? Credit is the availability to borrow money with the understanding that you have to repay it. And I mean, that seems like a pretty simple definition, right? But this is where people get into lots and lots of trouble. So, and I especially see this with student loans. People need, you know, loans to go to college. And a lot of times when you're getting your student loan, you're younger, you really haven't had a lot of experience with money and borrowing. And so you kind of have these great aspirations and you borrow lots of money because you're going to have this very successful career and pay it all back. But you forget that it might take a while, and the repay it later part is something that's really important. And a lot of times I've come across people who just said, well, I just couldn't pay it anymore, so I just stopped paying my debts. And it's haunted them for a lot of years. That. So just remember with credit, it's a great tool so that you can buy that car, buy that home, go to college. Remember, you have to pay it back. That's the flip side of it. So having a positive credit will really help you reach your goals with lots of other things other than just getting loans. So many of you probably already know that you need good credit to rent that apartment. Your landlord is going to check and see what your credit's like before they let you sign the lease. And it's so hard right now to rent. I don't know if many of you are renters right now, but with rents going up and there's just not a lot of availability, having a really good credit will help you definitely in finding the best bargains. It's also going to help you with your insurance. When you go to get that auto insurance, if you have good credit, you're going to pay less for your auto insurance. In employment, a lot of people forget that employers check your credit report. So you want to have good credit so that they can see that you're responsible. So all of these things are going to be really important for you as you start to build your credit. Or do you want to take this one?
Yes, sorry.
No, you
I was monitoring that chat and moving my picture windows around so that I can actually see the text. On the
I know this is,
slide.
yeah, I have the same thing too.
So
Figure
it's
that out.
hard when we're sharing screen. So your credit report, essentially it's, what we can work with you around, both at Liberty Bank and certainly at the Financial Opportunity Center is like, what is included in the credit report, right? And where do I get one if I need to get my credit report? So basically, the information that's contained in there is your bill paying history, right? Because you're a stranger to the person who is issuing you this opportunity to borrow, right? They don't really know you. So how do we figure out if, how much we're going to give you in a loan, how much interest we're going to charge you in order to borrow these dollars, right? And how do we know that is by these sort of, criteria that we look at, right? So your bill pay history is super important, right? What's been the trajectory of your, receiving loans in the past and your ability to pay that back? Are you doing, when you get money, are you paying it back regularly? Are you making those payments on time? Or are there situations where you're late and things like that? Because that helps that lender to make those decisions, okay? Because again, they don't know you as a person. So this is the information that they have to go by. They're also going to be checking out, inquiries by lenders into your credit history. They're going to be looking at public record information. Right? So these are some of the other things. Where do you find your credit report? And there's a couple different ways to access this. So obviously, if you walk into Liberty Bank and you're applying for a mortgage or something like that, they'll pull a credit report for you because they need to know where that credit score is. We can pull a credit report for you at the Village for Families and Children, right? So if you come here, you're working with us in terms of our Financial Opportunity Center. We have a relationship through the Credit Builders Alliance to be able to pull a soft pull, which means that it's not going to impact your credit score. So a soft pull credit report for you through TransUnion. Okay, and that's going to be a FICO score. And I'm pretty sure this presentation will get into the difference between the FICO and the Vantage. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. But the FICO score is what they're going to pull. And then we'll have a sense of where you're starting from, right? That first slide that Pam showed, knowledge is power, right? That's where we're starting from. So whatever that score is, whether it's a little bit on the lower side, somewhere in the middle, or maybe you're a rock star with your credit, you want to know where you're starting from, right? In terms of how do we improve this situation? So a credit report is not the same as your credit score. The report itself is the history. It's the credit lines, it's who you have cards with, who has issued you loans, the history of those things, right? What your payment history is on that, if you're on time, if you're 30 days late, if you're 90 days late, all of those pieces are going to be in there. and whether the accounts are closed, whether they're open, whether they're in collections, right? So it's going to review all of those pieces. The credit scores are a snapshot rather of your report in a numerical way in time, right? So your score today might not be the same score, 2 months from now or 5 years from now, right? Because as you make progress on these things, that score can go up, it can go down, depending upon your activities and your behavior in terms of your actual usage of your credit, right? Now there is a third place that you can actually get your credit score from, and that is the link that we have down here at the bottom slide, which is www.annualcreditreport.com. Okay. This is the free spot, guys. This is the government location to go and get your free credit score. You do not want to hit up these places that have names like freecreditreport.com and places like that. Any place that's going to have a jingle or a commercial on TV is probably not the spot to go and grab information about your finances. Just throwing that out there. Okay. So, government sites are always a good place to start. Again, you can visit us here at the Village. We can help you with that. You can walk into your branch. And if you're applying for a mortgage or something there, they will do that for you too. Okay. Now you can also do, sorry, Pam, they can also do through annualcreditreport.com, you'll have the 3 different credit unions represented there. You can pull all of them. I believe you can just request one. Pam, correct me if I'm wrong. So you can do one at a time, or you can do all 3 at the same time, which is called a tri-merge. Okay. The thing with that is that you get one of these reports free a year. Okay. So you want to pull it once a year in order to get the free credit report.
Yep. And another thing with that too is what a lot of times I'll tell people is you really don't need all 3 at once. If you just want to check and see how things are going and look over your report. So you could just choose one of them the first time, because it's a lot of, if you're printing it out, it's a lot of paper, it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
So just pick one. The 3 credit bureaus talk to each other. So usually you find about the same information on all of them. Sometimes it's a timing issue and one may have something different. But if you pull one and then you have to make some corrections, 3 months later, you can pull another one. And that way you have more opportunities to get your free reports. One other thing too, I loved what Laura said about, if it sounds too good to be true, the jingles, the free stuff, be careful with who you are getting. If someone says you can get a free report, if they ever ask for your credit card, even though they say it's free, that's a really big red flag, because maybe they're going to give you that one report free, but by giving them your number, then you're probably signing up for like a monitoring system, or every month they're going to send you another report, which you don't need, and all sorts of things. So be careful. And even things like Credit Karma, which a lot of people like to use, be really careful with that, because, if you think about it, what's in it for them, right? They're not a nonprofit. So they're trying to make money. So by getting all your information in there, they can sell that to other people. They can try to sell you things. And some of their, when we get into credit scores, their scores aren't the same scores that the banks are going to use. So be really, really careful about free things. But like Laura said, this site here is the government approved. So that is free and safe, pretty safe.
Yep.
So like Laura had said, once you get your free credit report, in the beginning, it's going to have all your personal identifying information, where you work, where you currently live, where you lived the last place you lived, maybe your previous job, all sorts of things just about you. And you want to make sure all that's true, right? If there's another name on there that's like your first name, but a different last name, or something looks a little funky, that's something you want to report, because somebody could be trying to use your ID, steal your identification. And so that's really important. Another thing is a lot of times when people have the same last name or family members with the same name or juniors or, thirds, cousins that have the same name, their information sometimes can show up on your report. So you want to make sure everything on there is you. And even if it's something minor, you want to report it. If it said you worked at CVS, but you've never worked at CVS a day in your life, you want to report that because maybe somebody else's info is showing up on here. And then, of course, all your debts and some of your bills are going to show up on here. Some bills don't show up. So your light bill is not going to show up on your credit report unless it goes into collections. And after you haven't paid some of your routine bills, like if you have AT&T as your cell phone provider, and all of a sudden you switch to Verizon, and AT&T was trying to charge you some big amount, and you said, "I'm not paying that," and ignored it. Then all of a sudden they would send it to a bill collector, debt collector, and then it would show up on your credit report. So you want to go through all the debts that are on there. Your Visa card will show up on there, your car loan, all those type of things. Make sure they're all you. If there's a motorcycle on there and you've never owned a motorcycle, even if it's paid off, you still want to report it. And then look and see, you might have some surprises. We see this all the time at the bank. Somebody's going to get a mortgage and we see on there that they owe Xfinity money for a cable box and they never even knew it. But sometimes when you switch apartments, if you don't bring back all the equipment or some gets lost in transit, they will put a claim in with have a credit collector on that, and it will show up on your credit report and really hurt your credit. So you want to go through and make sure that there's nothing on there like that. Public record information, if you've ever got taken to small claims court, sometimes that automatically doesn't come off when you pay the debt back. You have to go to the town or city hall and show them proof that you paid that debt back. Also, other public debt could be on there, like if you owe child support or things like that. If you owe back taxes, it could show up on here. And maybe you owe taxes, you paid them off and it's still showing up. So you want to bring a copy of that receipt down to if they were like local taxes, down to your town hall, your auto taxes or something, and have them clean that up for you. And then also anybody who's looking at your credit report will show up on here. And people get really worried about that. But if you just have one or, if you're applying for a new credit card, it's going to show up on there. That's not too bad. It's when you go out and you go to get a new card, credit card, applying for go to another car dealer. Then you're looking to buy a house, like all things all at once, or apply for 3 different types of credit cards at once. That's really going to hurt your credit. So you want to just review everything really closely and make sure you are the one that all of that debt and everything is yours that's on there. If you see anything that looks a little funky or isn't you, when you get your free credit report, it tells you exactly how to dispute things. And the credit bureaus have 45 days to look into it. So you want to make sure you fill out the form, send it back, or there's a number you can even call and start to get the process looked into. Oh, shoot. I didn't want to go to that score. I hope you didn't see that page, but does anybody know what the average credit score is? Good thing we weren't giving away money because you guys would all have the answer now. But the average national credit score is 711. I just did a program just at the Hartford Athletics for all the employees there. They wanted to do a program on credit, and they were guessing 500, 600. They didn't really have faith that people had a higher score, but the average score is 611. So the highest score that you can have is 850, and the lowest score you can have is probably in the 500s somewhere. I don't know. I don't think it goes to 450. I think it's 5. Do you know, Laura? I think it's like low 500s is the lowest.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, and then getting your credit score, when you get your free credit report, your score isn't included. You have to pay for your score. So even when you go to annualcreditreport.com, it will say if you want a credit score, you can get it, but you have to pay a small amount. It's usually it's under $20. I'm not really sure exactly what it is now. But many of you won't have to do that because you can find your credit score on your credit card statements a lot of times. And even if it's not on a credit card statement, there'll be usually, sometimes there's a place on there that you can go to their website and see your credit score. Some organizations can get them for you. Can the Village do that? Oh, so you can go to the Village, get it for free. At the bank, we can only give you your credit score if you apply for a loan. So if you applied for any type of loan with us, we can then tell you what your score is, but we can't just run credit reports or credit scores without somebody interested in a product, and that's a regulatory issue. But if you applied for a mortgage or you applied for a credit card with the bank, we can then share your score with you. And then you can also go to myfico.com. FICO score is a score you really want to get. A Vantage score is another type of score, but that one is a little bit higher than your FICO score, so it's misleading. You get that and you're like, woo, I'm doing great. But then you go to apply for something and you might be a little bit lower, and that's because your FICO score is a little bit lower than your Vantage score. So I don't even know why. I guess a lot of times auto dealers might use a Vantage score, but really your probably safest bet is to stick with your FICO score.
Yeah. And Pam, the Credit Karma, they use the Vantage.
Ah.
So yeah, and a lot of people use Credit Karma. And it's okay for what it is. It's a tool. It gives you sort of a sense, right, of where things are. But again, don't get caught in that trap of paying for things on those sites, right? You don't need to provide your information up front to people, generally speaking. So don't get caught in those sort of predatory sort of traps that companies sometimes lay for you. I'm not saying that Credit Karma is a predatory place, but they are a for-profit business, and so they are going to seek, to sell you product when they are on, when you're on their site. Again, like places like Liberty, places like, any place that's going to be able to do a mortgage for you, or generally sell you cars. Some dealerships do use the Vantage score, as Pam was saying, but most places are going to pull this for you for a purchase, for the purpose of a purchase, are going to use the FICO. So it's really good to know the FICO, at least at some point in the financial journey, especially when you're looking to make a purchase. And Pam is correct. Like, your score is not something you need to pull all the time. You do not need to pay for the score all the time. It's more important to understand the activity on, what activity you're engaged in, and sort of your payment history and what's happening with your overall credit situation, as opposed to having the score. The score is important when you need to make a major purchase. The score is important when you're buying a house. The score is important when you're buying a car, or, you're purchasing an appliance or a bed, or something like that. And when you're currently working on your credit and it's sort of an active financial goal for you, you might want to be monitoring a little bit more during that phase. But again, it's not something that you necessarily need to do. And I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Pam, but maybe I'm not even sure, like, more than once a year is really a necessary thing for the score itself. Report, different. You might want to look at that more frequently just to make sure your activity. Pam was referencing some some fraudulent stuff. If you have things that are on your report that are not yours, you want to be monitoring that a little bit more frequently. But again, I don't know what your thoughts are on the score, but I think probably once a year, maybe once every 6 months is the at most.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because like Laura said, the credit report is the key, right? That all the information on there is what makes up your score. So if you can pull your free report and go through that and make sure, fix things on there, have that, your score will naturally follow and will increase with it. So there's no need to be pulling it all the time. And you might even be surprised and be getting it every month on if you have a Discover card. I know it shows up on there every month. So you might have some free ways to see it that are coming into your home you don't even know about. Some employers too have that as an option that you can. And I'll tell you this exciting thing. So I'm really excited about it. If you have a Liberty Bank account, so this might apply to some of your bank too. I don't know, but we're upgrading our online banking, and it's going to be at the first of the year. And it is going to have a spot on there if you have online banking, so you can pay your bills. It's all free for your free credit score, so you can monitor it for free anytime. It's going to be as part of the financial center. It's going to have lots of awesome tools for you to use as part of, keeping track of all of your financial information. So I'm really excited about that. But I have to just tell a really funny story about the Vantage score. So I was doing this class before COVID because it was in person. And a bunch of people were at it. It was on credit. And one man came running in late and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. I had to get my credit score." And I said, "Oh, well, where did you get it?" And he had it written down on a piece of paper. He's like, "Oh, I went and I applied. Went to a car dealer and told them I was interested in buying a car so they would give me a free score." So he went through all the trouble of filling out a application to get a car he wasn't even interested in, so he could get a free credit score. So it's a lot easier than that.
Wow.
So you don't need to do that. Go to a car dealer and pretend to buy a car. But so we can help you if you're really interested and you can't find any of these ways. We can help you find your score. So what is your score made up of? And the biggest piece here, the 35%, the most important, the best thing you can do is to pay your bills back on time. So even if you have a credit card bill and it's really high, if you can't pay the whole thing off, or even just make the minimum payment, will keep your credit score from really tanking or rooting your credit history. So you always want to try to pay things back on time. And even missing 1 month does have a big impact. So I have one brother, and our dad was a banker. And so we were he was always trying to teach us, savings, playing by the books with everything, right? My brother is a total opposite. He's an awesome guy, and he doesn't worry about things. He's laid back, and he's like, "Pam, it's not a big deal if I miss a month. 1 month isn't going to make a big deal." So he just kind of pay things a little bit late, not because he didn't have, the funds. He just was kind of not really, "Oh, I forgot to pay that." And then he went to get a car and he called me up. He said, "Oh my gosh, my credit score is not very good." And now I'm having, because of all those just times he was like, "I'm going on vacation. I'll just not pay my bills this month." Just thinking 1 month isn't going to be a big deal. But really, it does have a big impact. So, setting up alerts or reminders, things like that you can do through your online banking or on your cell phone or other apps to remind you to pay things on time, or setting up automatic payments on things will really help you so that you don't end up falling late because you just forgot, or the bill got lost in the mail and you got it late. And so that's the biggest thing to helping your credit score improve. And then the next thing is, how much of your credit limit are you using? So what they mean by this is, so if you have, say, $1,000 credit limit on your Visa, you don't want to max it out and charge up to $1,000. Even if you're making your payments all on time, if you max out your credit cards, it lowers your credit score. And the rule of thumb is to only use about 30% of your available credit. So if you had $1,000 credit limit, try not to charge a little over $320 or so on your credit card. So trying to keep down the amount you charge on each card, and will definitely help your credit score. The length of credit, so the longer you've been charging and borrowing and things, helps increase your score. The longer, if you've had a Visa for 3 years and you've been paying it on time, that's a good sign. If you have got a car loan and you paid it in full and it was paid off, just showing that you had the loan and you were able to pay it in full after 5 years or whatever it was, is going to help to boost your credit score. Another one of the smaller things that impacts it is new accounts open. So if you open a bunch of new credit cards, your score is going to drop a little bit. And that will recover eventually. But in the beginning, when you're opening new accounts or getting new loans, sometimes it can have a little bit of a negative impact at first on your score, but it will rebound. And that's why we tell people, if you're interested in making a big purchase. So if you're not going to buy a house for 3 more years or so, it doesn't really matter then if you open that new credit card. But if you're going to be buying a house in the next year or so, or you want to buy a new car soon, you don't want to be opening up other accounts or other lines of credit, because that will have an impact and lower your score. And sometimes just a few points can make a big difference in the interest rate you're going to get. So one last story, and then I won't keep telling stories, but we had a couple that was in the process of buying a home. And in order to get this one program, they were going to be a first-time home buyer. They had their credit score, I think it was like 640 or 650. It was and they couldn't go below that, or they wouldn't qualify for this home buying product. And that was the only way they were going to afford their home. It was a great interest rate, great, mortgage. Well, it was Christmas time, and in the middle of the mortgage process, they were approved, waiting for things to go through. It was the wife went to Kohl's to do some Christmas shopping. So she opened up the Kohl's card thinking, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to charge some Christmas presents.
No.
And she charged that one card, and her score dropped right before the closing. And the bank checks your score before you close too, to make sure nothing crazy happened. And they weren't going to be able to get their mortgage now to buy their house. They were like right at the finish line. So she was able to pay off the card, or make, well, I had to do a lot of work actually in a really short amount of time, and able to get her score back up and close and still get the home. But that's just showing like one little thing that you don't even think about. I'm just going to buy a few things at Kohl's, but it can really have a big impact. So, and then the last thing too is your credit mix. So there's different types of loans you can get. Like an installment loan would be your student loan, or your auto loan, where you have the same payment every single month. So that's one type. Another is revolving, which would be your credit cards. You charge them up, pay them off. The balance is always changing, and the amount that's due is always changing. So a mixture, and then you could have a mortgage loan, which is a home loan. So a mixture of different types of loans can also help increase your credit score. There's also like a loan called a credit builder loan, which acts like an installment loan. So if you get one of those, then it will show you making monthly payments, and that will help boost your score.
And one thing I just wanted to add here quickly is, the number one thing on this list, as Pam had mentioned, is the history of your paying your bills on time, right? So next week, you're going to have a fantastic class with Pam that is called budgeting, right? And, spending plans and kind of getting a handle on all that stuff, right? These two topics go hand in hand because of this. And because the foundations of financial stability are really tied up in these two things, right? It's a positive, healthy relationship with credit, good credit score, and the ability to be able to manage your finances in a way that's sensible and, and gets you to your goals. So next week's class is really going to be a great follow-up to this class, in that it's really going to talk to you about how does one develop a budget? What do we do? How do we track expenses and all of those pieces, which is going to help you reach that first bullet on this slide.
Pam and Laura, I just wanted to see if this might be a good time to throw it out there for questions. If anybody had, not a whole lot of folks have their cameras on, it would be great to see more faces and know that you are engaged and interested. If you want to raise a hand, either in real life or on your screen, let us know if you have any questions as we're kind of rounding it towards the end of the presentation. I just want to make sure folks have an opportunity to put it out there if you want to ask something. Okay. You are explaining it all perfectly, ladies.
I feel like we're talking a lot. So if you guys have anything, like Amy said, feel free to ask. A lot of times people ask us, oh no, not can I not? Oh, there we go. Ways that you can build your credit. So actually repairing credit is something that Lori's team at the Village can help assist you with. So remember, if you are on the other side of building, you're needing to repair, definitely talk to, there's a lot of bad people out there who are going to try to get a lot of money from you to fix your credit. I'll see my dog is moaning about that. So you definitely want to go to somebody you can trust, like a nonprofit like the Village, that's going to help you and steer you in the right, or lead you in the right direction. We don't like to use the word steering in banking, but will help you. So really, consider that and be, again, careful who you trust when it comes to things like building credit or repairing. But some of the things you can do to help build your credit is avoid, charging up too much on your credit card. The things that we just kind of talked about, keeping your balances low if you can. Working with to make sure all of your bills are paid on time. And if you need to get an unsecured or a secured, so let me just tell you the difference between those two in case you don't know. An unsecured card is just if you go and apply for a Visa or MasterCard or Discover card, fill out the application, send it in. They send you, they might approve you for $1,000 credit limit. You're borrowing that money and they're just having faith in you that you're going to pay it back. It's not secured by anything. Sometimes if people have bad credit or have had no credit, the company might not be that confident in their ability to pay it back. So you kind of have to prove yourself and get what's called the secured card. So that would be where you put, say, $500, $100, whatever you can afford in an account with the bank. They hold that money and they issue a card. And then you can borrow up to that amount. So you do this for a period of time, usually only a few months. And they see that you're charging $100, paying $100 off. And then you build faith and trust with them. They're showing this on your credit report. So your credit score is moving up. And then eventually you'll get offers or have the ability to get an unsecured card after you prove your abilities. And that's the same with credit builder loans. A lot of times you'll put in this account, say, $1,000, $500, and that money will be secured. And then you'll get a loan on that and you'll pay it back over the course of a year, showing you're making monthly payments. And those payments are going to help to build your credit score. Even if you have some bad things on your credit report that you're working on, you can still do, your score will still improve if you have one of these loans to try to help improve it, showing that you're working in the right direction. And the Liberty, not to keep plugging our products, but we have a great credit builder loan. We don't even ask you to put the money in up front to secure. We'll secure the money for you. So we'll say you want to use $1,000. We'll put $1,000 in an account to secure for you, and you'll pay every month till you reach $1,000. At the end of the 12, say you did it for 1 year or 10 months, we'll be reporting this every single month to the credit bureaus. You'll end up with $1,000 in your savings account. We'll give you the interest back that you paid, plus any interest you earned on the money that was in there. And so you kind of have like a little bit of a forced savings, but a way to really build your credit. So it's a great program if you need to build credit and you need some help with that. And Jacqueline, I see you have a question.
Yes, I do. Now you're talking about the unsecured credit card. So even if you have a secured credit card where that is not wait, you said it's good to get a secured credit card. So what if you have a card that's not secured? Is it still okay to get another unsecured credit card that will still help?
So if you already have a unsecured card and you've been paying on it and it's fine, you don't have any credit issues, you might not need to get a secured card because you've already kind of proven that you can make your payments. But if the unsecured card, the regular credit card, you've had some problems with in the past, then you may need to get a secured card to try to rebuild that confidence in you. So, a lot of times we'll have somebody get a secured card if they've had problems in the past with their unsecured cards to, so that they can show that they're starting to make their payments and get back on track.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I love seeing we have some young learners here. Very good.
Can never start too soon, right, Pam?
That's right.
Right.
So do you guys have any other questions for us? Another way to build credit too, if a lot of people have maybe children a little bit older than the little ones on the screen, but like college age or so, and they want to help build their credit for them or get them started. A lot of times you can become a borrower they can become a borrower on your card. So you can get them a credit card on an existing card that you have. They're kind of piggybacking on you and their credit is building, but they have no liability. It's all just the owner of the card. So that's another option that sometimes people can do to help build their credit. But just remember, the person who owns the credit card has to have good credit, because if they haven't, that it could have a negative impact on you as well. So that's called becoming an authorized user on a card.
Orly, did you have a question? Pam, I see she went off mute, so I thought maybe you had a question.
Yeah, just why is it important to have like different type of credit? I see installment, revolving. Why is it important to have like different kind?
Oh, yeah, sure. That's a great question. It's good because it helps to build up your credit score. It just shows that you can manage different kinds of debt. So if you never did, if all you had was revolving, all you had were credit cards, you still probably could get an auto loan. But your score will get higher if you have a little bit of a mixture. So, and usually, at some point in life, you need to have a mixture, right? Because you might need to buy that automobile and you have a credit card. So now you have an installment and a revolving. So, that it kind of happens naturally a lot of times. But if you want to really work on building your score, sometimes having that mixture can help with that.
And what's an example of open credit?
So open credit, I think would be like a home equity line of credit. So you have credit available to you to use at any time. So it's a little bit different it's similar to revolving, where revolving is like your credit card, but like an open line would be an open credit. No other questions? You guys are so quiet.
I've been answering a couple of questions in the chat.
Oh, good. Okay. Good.
Yes.
Excuse me. So is it really a good idea to work with collection agencies? Some people tell me it's not, some people said it's good.
Yes. So I should change this. This is not, I don't want to say collection agencies. I want to say agencies. Let's get out the word collection, because I think collection agencies have a bad rap of like people who are going to charge you a lot of money. But like an agency like the Village or a nonprofit. So when you're trying to decide who to get, if you look on different, there's that HUD, which is Housing and Urban Development website. They list all nonprofits who can help you with credit that are vetted and that they're safe to use and go through. And I don't want to say that, I mean, there's a collection agency that is a for-profit and that's very reputable, great guy. And I would recommend him to somebody, but there's a lot of them that are bad. So you really just have to do your homework. But if you can get it for free by going through a great nonprofit, why not do that? So, and also with collection agencies too, they can be the debt collectors that call you and want you to pay back a debt that you have. And if you're working with them, you want to just be really careful, because different ways that you pay off debt can impact your score. So that's why it's good to talk to someone in advance, like someone at the Village. Sometimes if you pay something back right away, that can be a good thing. Other times you want to make sure you have something in writing saying they're going to take it off your credit report. And you really need an expert to help you with that, to make sure you're going to get your score the way you want it and up. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Pam and Laura, I know we'll share this at the end, but if you all would put your email addresses in the chat, and folks could connect with you and either ask questions about your presentation or figure out how to access the services of Liberty Bank, and some of the opportunities you offer, as well as the Village, that would be great.
Sure.
Did you have any other slides? I know we started about 3 minutes late. I don't know if people have 3 minutes to spare, but wanted to give you an opportunity to share any other slides if you had any.
This was the last one.
Okay, perfect. Thoughts and questions.
There we go.
Thank you both so much.
I do have a favorite pet site that I use a lot myself. It's called nerdwallet.com. It's just a generally kind of good place to start looking at information about financial topics. I know we've been discussing credit tonight, but certainly they have a much broader footprint than that. So if you're wondering, like, what's the best tax preparation software that I could use at home? You know, questions like that. They do a lot of research and basically figure out, like, what's the easiest one to use? What's the most comprehensive one to use? Like, and so you can go on there and read like their reviews and sort of see, you know, what financial products might be the best things for you to look into. You know, and again, I always take recommendations with a grain of salt, right? Always use your best judgment in terms of what is good for you and your particular circumstances. But I think NerdWallet's a pretty good place to sort of just get a sense of what's going on. I recently looked at some, you know, different things on there about because we're, you know, student loans has been a huge topic lately, especially with the president's you know, relief and the public service loan forgiveness stuff that's been going on, and that there's a deadline of October 31st for some of that. So it's you know, for those pieces, just any kind of financial question that I have, I usually just go there first and sort of get my bearings, and then I can branch out to other things. So I just wanted to give that to people.
And I put the link to that in the chat, as well as the HUD site that Pam mentioned. If folks want to click on those and have those.
And they do have lots of information on there about credit. So it's, you know, what are good credit cards to look at? What are the interest rates? What are the different banks? Like, all of those kinds of pieces are in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of information on credit available. So, you know, definitely searching. And the Federal Trade Commission has a lot of information too.
Yep.
So.
Well, thank you both so much. Like I said, this is my third time going through this with you all. I learned something new every time. Appreciate you making things so clear and concise. Thank you to those of you who had questions, and to those of you who participated in the chat. This is all for this week, but we will see you all again next week, Tuesday, at 5:30. And it, you know, as Pam and Laura kind of gave you the teaser for that, it pairs really well. The budgeting piece with that, I really like that stuff because I know it's heading into the holidays. I know I always get helpful tidbits for that time of year and sort of managing my expenses and keeping my spending in line. So we will learn more next week. Obviously, you can reach out to us at East Hartford Works through Yadira and through either Laura or Pam here. But if there are no more questions, we will see you all next week. Thank you so much for attending. I hope you all have a great rest of your night.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.